I think we got to start off with episode 1 here. Where we left off is that Carmi emotionally reeling after the conversation he has in the walk-in fridge as he's locked out. You got Claire on the other side unknowingly. You got Carmi listening to the voicemail, Claire's professing her love to Carmi, and him hanging up in complete shock and realizing that he is going to have to break emotional connections in order to become the best, in order to earn a Michelin star for the bear. And that's where we start. But what I just talked about, the versatility of the bear, this show decided to take us on a journey in episode 1 through Carmi's success. Where did he go from that episode 6 in season 2? What was his journey as he goes from New York to Copenhagen to the greatest restaurants and bosses and chefs in the world? What did he learn? What sacrifices did it take? This show illustrated it perfectly, and it was a great foreshadow for what this season was going to be. Ricky Flicks, this is immediately, when I saw this, immediately in contention for the greatest bear episode we've ever had.
It's definitely contention. It's without a doubt a top fiver. Without a doubt. Fishes, Forks, the one shot, I would say, are easily in the top 5. And then you could throw another one from the end of season.
Marcus Copenhagen?
I don't know. I literally rewatched that yesterday. I don't know. End of season 2 was kind of a banger too. But I would no matter what, this is better than those. So it's really the Fishes, Forks, and one shot from season 1 debate. That's where it really is. And I wouldn't mind if you said it was the best. I really wouldn't. And I right when I was watching it, I was like, man, they're just so innovative. They're so creative. They continue to differentiate themselves, making them unique. The blend of the flashbacks with the present day, Carmi, the next day, tomorrow is literally the name of the episode. And he's going to work, new dishes every day, new menu every day, working on his craft, the non-negotiables mixed with the flashbacks to Fishes and what happened right afterwards with the car getting towed out, mixed with Copenhagen, New York, different stages in New York, John Mulaney with the aerosol telling Carmi while he's sleeping to take a shower. By the way, weird you don't do that and you're someone else's home. I digress. Everything.
Too committed.
This episode literally had it all, and dude, we saw Prime Carmi. We saw Prime Carmi going to work, absolutely lapping everybody countless times in the P's next to Will Poulter. It's still unbelievable how they make everyone look so much younger. Even Olivia Colman, like, all due respect, they make everyone look younger. It's so impressive, and the amount of dialogue in this episode is not a lot. Like, we know the bear as like, oh, this chaos, anxiety, tension-fueled show in the kitchen, and chaos, everyone yelling at each other, bickering. But this first episode is just the music and then like a quick one-liner, quick two-liners, like something like that, and you're just following along through the blend of flashbacks and present day and whatnot. It was outstanding filmmaking, and like the script, I can't even imagine writing this script. It must have put him in a blender. It must have taken forever. But this episode was so impressive. Definitely, I would say, if you don't say it's the best episode throughout these first 3 seasons, I would say it was definitely like the hardest one to write. Like, it was the most impressive, I would say.
Yeah, the amount of weaving between timelines and
the editing
into present day. What the show, like, it has certain tropes to it, like we talked about, like the certain needle drops that it has, the Carmi versus Richie type of banter that goes on. This show decided in this first episode, we are just going to go all in on Carmi and his journey. And what the show is also good at is showing how food is made, how great these shots were, right? How beautiful and elegant they looked, I thought this episode was also kind of doing something different. Minimal dialogue. It just has one steady score the entire time. This is what I'm talking about. It has like a core to it, but also it's not afraid to put a little twist. And here, you talked about it. I want to say, watching this, I kept thinking of The Last Dance. I kept thinking about Michael Jordan in his prime. I'm thinking about episode 1 of The Last Dance, and we get to see Michael Jordan in the 80s pre-titles, and we see his rise to prominence. That's what I felt like I was watching in this episode. It was absolutely electric, and it could go from obviously the shots of food, the commitment from Carmi, the sacrifices he makes in order to be the best, right? The removal of emotional attachments, like we see, that's a great connectivity between season 2 and season 3. I thought it was superb. I thought it was superb, Ricky Flex. And also seeing him as you see like that connection with Chef Terry, which is Olivia Colman's character, and him as the head chef, and who is below him? It's Will Poulter, and who's below Will Poulter? It has the dude that Richie was staging for, right? The head chef in Chef Terry's restaurant when in the Forks episode. So it just shows how good Carmi actually is. Like we weren't exaggerating how good he is. He literally might have been the best in the world at one point, and I'm glad we kind of filled in the blanks to kind of just show the audience just how good.
Yeah, like who we're dealing with here, you know? And I think going back to what you said just before that, it was like, oh, like the sacrifices you have to make. And I think we have to bring up Joel McHale. Joel McHale in that
Yeah.
relationship on display again. And I think something that was mentioned on this in this episode that has stayed in the forefront of my mind throughout the first 5 episodes here is subtract. And Joel McHale says that's how you do better. You subtract everything. And right when he said that, I was like, oh, that's Claire. Oh, that's a life. Oh, that's everything. You have to sacrifice, subtract out everything in your life and just do this. That's what I kind of has been thinking about these first 5 episodes. And I think that's come to a T. He's forgotten basically why the beef is the beef versus where he used to be. This isn't the same culture, same people, and he's just been subtracting out everything in his life. Now, going past that, I think going into the episode, I think you mentioned something too with the minimal dialogue. The music is just so eerie and hovers over you. And it's a perfect blend where it's like, oh, like this is what he is or was, and like his family. And then like you're thinking in the back of your head, like, oh, but like this is in the past. And like who he is now, it's like, I don't know. I don't know. It just had a daunting feeling a little bit, but also like a Last Dance type of feeling too. It's like, oh, like, look what he used to be, you know?
Right.
So it had like a documentary type of feel as well. So it was just, a perfect blend of music to kind of get you in your feels, but yet hyped up. Like it was a cool blend.
It helped with the flow with minimal dialogue, but I thought one of the biggest differences between this season and season 2 and season 1 is the music. And I think it's working, honestly, fantastically. Christopher Storer kind of feels like he's a puppeteer. He knows when to pull strings at the right times. And we have like John Mayer needle drops. We have REM needle drops in season 1, season 2. You don't get that in season 3. Like the beef is like a hangout spot, right? It's good vibes, the staff, they get along. And like Richie telling stories to Tina, even if it annoys Tina to death, that doesn't happen anymore. All right. That camaraderie is gone. Right. And the music kind of tells that story. We go from pop music needle drops from the last 3 decades into like an orchestra. And the orchestra kind of tells you, hey, this is elegant. This is beautiful. We're going for a Michelin star. But also in the back of your mind, something dangerous is on the precipice. Like there is something terrible about to happen. And it feels like everyone is on pins and needles in the beef throughout this first half of the season, Ricky Flex. The music is not as enjoyable in terms of, yeah, I know that song, I like that artist, but in terms of kind of going with what the show is, that's one of the primary differences I saw. Did you feel that at all?
Yeah, I definitely did. I think that episode 1, because like the episode 1, like you're right, but also like episode 1, like we get flashbacks to young Mikey, clean cut John Bernthal, not long hair, clean shaven. We got a young Tina. We got a young Sydney tasting Carmi's dish with the fro. Insane. But like I think going back to like the sadness, like we do see like the Mikey death, like the phone call and then the funeral, like we do get that. And like Carmi leaving the funeral early, and like he's not, maybe he didn't even go in. He just stayed in his car. Like it's just saying like, oh, this is who I am now, or like, oh, he realizes like, oh, I can't be who I used to be. I don't know. But I don't know. There was like that sense of like sadness as well in the first episode. That's like kind of linking back to where season 1 is.
I was a little nervous in that flashback sequence when we got to the funeral that Carmi, they don't show him until he's in the car. We don't know if he goes in the church, but I thought there was a moment where the audience is kind of thinking, did he go to the funeral?
Well,
Right?
in
Because
episode 3, I think when it's Marcus's mom's funeral, I was like, oh no, like it's 5 people through the line. I'm like, did Carmi not go to this one either? I was like, oh, or like, did he not go inside for this one, or did he even go? He's been so busy and focused on the restaurant, he had to stay back and like work on the new menu for the day. I don't know. Like I because of that one scene, I was like, crap, Carmi might not be here.
that commitment to being the best, what does it take? But obviously, we're relieved to see Carmi with his family during that sequence eventually, and to see the the uh, the restaurant staff there all the way back with Mikey and seeing what they're carrying forward to now, how far they've come. Um, it was just this is a family, and it feels like that family vibe is being fractured during this season. But before we move on from episode 1, because I got so much else to talk about, honestly, I feel like we could have a 2-hour podcast talking about the first episode. The return of a bunch of cameos from season 2. Will Poulter shows up here. John Mulaney comes back. Olivia Colman returns. John Bernthal, Joel McHale. So it's just these cameos that people want, skeptics might say, are throwaways in season 2 and season 1. No, these are mainstays, and they believe in this project. I thought it was just great to see. It's always like, I can't wait to see John Bernthal, but then I can't wait to see who else pops up. And to see like some consistency and how Chef Terry's actually taking a strong presence in this upcoming season with Olivia Colman. I think it's amazing that Olivia Colman, Oscar winner, is like buying into the show, more so than just one season, one appearance with Richie. And I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if Will Poulter actually shows up in one of the subsequent episodes in the second half.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised with that either. Same with Olivia Colman, just because the rest. Again, if you're listening to this, first 5 episodes, spoilers. Olivia Colman's has to come back to kind of tell Carmi to shape up here and like don't like lose yourself in the food in the restaurant. Like, why are you here? People around you, things like that. I feel like she's gonna come back in season 3. Well, present tense in season 3, not as flashback. But like, we got to be careful with the word mainstays. Like, they aren't mainstays. This is one day of filming.
Did I
like
say
on set.
mainstays? I meant like appearing in more than one episode. They're not
Yeah,
just
which
a
is great.
throwaway cameo. Like Mulaney might have been a throwaway cameo, but he also had one of the best moments in Fishes.
Yeah. So no, it's good to see, and like it's just the respect for the show is through the roof.